welcome to this edition of The Dredge. I am your host, El Bachman. Thank you for tuning in today. The last episode, I talked about the independent words. I'm a professional, I swear. I talked about the industry, the different types, things to look out for, and this time I want to talk a little bit about the writer themselves. We are a messy bunch from the people I know. We have to schedule everything. I know I personally do. If I don't have it written down, I'm going to forget. I work professionally at this as much as I can, and I, on the website, shared an article for helping working writers. And I'm sharing my personal tips that I have gathered over the years so that I do not go crazy with my chaos as a mom, as a caregiver, as a wife, as a wrangler of 3 pets, and taking care of the household and doing all that I do in my day. The first thing is scheduling. Schedule time in your day for writing. I know it's hard. I've been there. There's days I'm wanting to write. I've got it in my head. I've got to get this out. I'm going to go crazy. But after realizing I can't keep going crazy, I have people that need me, and I'm distracted because I'm thinking about writing, I would get a notebook and paper like I did when I was a little kid, writing, and do it that way. Notebook next to me, computer next to me, and type. You can do this 10 minutes on a lunch break. You can do this for an hour after you've gotten your kids, if you have them, in bed. You can do it. Plan it out, schedule it, and stick to it, which I know is the hardest part. Once you get in the habit of every day getting the words out, it's going to be easier, and you'll see progress, which can also be motivating. You also have to remember to turn off. You can get overwhelmed very quickly, especially if you're working on multiple manuscripts for this company or this anthology. I'm working on my collection of short stories. Whatever it is, it can be overwhelming, especially when there's chaos going around you. Not all of us have the luxury of having our own space, so we're working at dining tables, we're working in sofas or a comfy sweater, hoping and praying that we get, our words out. Turn your cell phone off. Find quiet space. Headphones on. Zone the world out if you're able. That is what I have to do sometimes. I'll just go off in my room, shut my door, and mommy's time is off. It's daddy's shift. And I know that may sound odd to people that can't understand what working from home can do to a person, but believe me, you are going to need to find your time. Even if you don't write in your time, zone out, listen to music. That's what I do, because sometimes it's just really hard, and writing is hard enough. Professionally, writing is hard, and you need to get out of your head. And I didn't realize how stuck in my own head I was until somebody had mentioned it to me. How there was a point where I wasn't leaving my office, other than, I'd take care of stuff, my kids in school, my husband's at work, and it was just me, and I would get super sucked into work. But that's not always good. Yes, you're getting stuff done, but over time your work will degrade. People reading a book can tell 100%, I at least believe, when the work is shifting. It's like you've lost your way. Now, you can have an outline, but if you're forcing it and you're not forcing it well, it's going to show. What I do is sometimes I meditate. I know that's not for everybody, but it helps. It helps me focus. It helps me recenter. Sometimes I have to completely leave my workspace. being creative on demand is very, very difficult, especially when you're doing it for long periods, years. I actually suffered a complete creative breakdown, and I talked about that on my website called The Dark Side of Being Creative on Demand. I didn't even know it was a thing. I was just trying to figure out what was going on with me, and I figured it out dealing with a lot of work, and which is great, but doing a lot of work and dealing with certain difficult people over time just broke me down. I had really good friends noticing that my work had changed. This is graphic work. I'm trying to write, I'm doing graphic work for companies, and my work used to be high quality, and now it's suffering, which I couldn't even tell because I was so in that dark place. But once I realized what was going on, I stepped back. Now I can notice when that's happening quicker. I also, over time, started to exercise. It helps a lot with energy, and especially in the morning if I can. It's just good for you anyways. When you sit for hours at a desk or sit in general, you risk blood clots forming in your legs, from what I have been told from professionals that do know this stuff. I am not a doctor, but I can't do that. I can't sit for 8-10 hours on a manuscript, or even just sitting in general working, and knowing that yes, the book is getting done, the manuscript's being worked on, I finished a draft, but my legs will ache. You will physically hurt from sitting too long. I don't know if that's everyone. I know that's something I have to deal with, so exercise has helped a lot. Now, I'm actually going kind of over an article that's already on the website for this episode, and I'm going a little bit more in depth on that article, and it's called Top Self-Care Tips for Working Writers. And this next one is something I actually learned in college, rewarding yourself. I took something I learned for studying in college and applied it to work, because sometimes you're struggling as a writer to really push something out, and you can reward yourself after a few words, paragraph, whatever you feel you can do. When you finish it, get up. Remember, you finished something. That's a goal that got met that day. I wake up every day with at least 5 goals, and if I can accomplish one of those, I feel like I have done my adulting for the day. In studying for college, it would be like, read this chapter or read these paragraphs and eat an M&M at the end, or rub your eyes if I was staring at a computer, or if you're staring at a computer, do something that helps yourself and know, hey, I got that far. That is where my goal was. I hit it good. That'll also boost you. It'll motivate you to continue. Sometimes you can't always rely on other people to boost you or tell you how amazing you are. Yes, it's very, very nice, and it's not good to be overly complimented and have yes men around you. You need to have somebody to tell you you could work on that. That's why I love editors so much. Without them, I don't know what I would do. I wish I had an editor with me all the time, especially during these podcasts, because they're very, very minimally edited, and I'm sure I have an editor at one of my publishing houses going, what are you doing? I told you not to do that. That would be great, but I can't afford to have them sit on my shoulder and yell at me. But if you don't have that, do it for yourself. Sometimes I need to still visually see it, so what I've done, this is going to sound dumb to some, but it helps me, so it works. I had to write that I was a great writer on my desk, so when I look up in frustration, I see it. Because sometimes you just forget. you're so bogged down with trying to get the story out, or trying to get that book out on deadline, or whatever, you forget that you're actually really good at what you're doing. Don't forget that. You are your biggest fan. Or you should be. You're doing the work. You're putting the time in. Be your own biggest fan. Remember, you're talented. You have passion. That's why you're doing this. And, you know, if anything, of all the dark that I've seen and gone through with being creative on demand, the biggest thing I can say is communicate. Talk to people. Hey, so-and-so, boss, wherever, blah, 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 I need to take a break. Don't feel like you're going to let somebody down because you're going through things. Everyone is going through things. Everyone is having a hard time. I deal with anxiety, so oftentimes I feel like I might overly communicate, but I'm trying to, in my head, make sure, they know I'm going through this, and this, even though I'm pretty sure I'm driving them nuts because I've talked to them too often. It's me dealing with me. You, and in general, we are a sociable people. Talk, communicate. Even in marriages, if you don't communicate, things are going to break down. Apply that to professional relationships. If you don't communicate, things are going to break down. Part of why I had such a hard time when I was going through my dark phase of creative breakdown, I wasn't telling anybody what I was going through. I didn't want to bother anybody. And I couldn't see what they were seeing, which was that my work was suffering. And I've been very blessed to meet very kind and understanding people in this community, and they have understood, because some of them are writers, how it can be on a writer, and that's a huge help, especially when you're going through things. Just remember, at the end of the day, you're doing what you love. It can be hard, but love can be hard. And it's gonna be okay. Don't give up. And I'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to ring the bell if you're on YouTube. Check out the description for links. And thank you.